Hey Kelly Brook, it's Misty. I'm so excited that you're going to take this journey with me this year and implement Pathways to Reading into our school. I've been doing the program for 10 years. I love it, and I truly believe that it gives kids the strategies and the skills to become successful readers. I want to be able to assist you any way that you need me. So ask me questions, come observe me. I can come teach lessons in your classroom during counseling lessons. I can meet with you before or after school, whatever it takes to help you feel successful in getting this program off the ground and running. If I don't know the answers to any of your questions, I will find them. This is a 5-day program, and we have just 2 days scheduled, so we're going to have to see where we can get a few more days to fit in. I'm going to present some of the research behind the program and give you some background information to lay the foundation for the next upcoming days. So here's what we know about students. For 5% of them, learning to read is effortless. They come to school, they're natural readers, and it's easy for them. For 30%, they learn relatively easy once exposed to that formal large group instruction. But for 60% of kids, learning to read is a challenge, and for half of these children, reading is the most difficult thing that they will ever have to master in school. This is a gray oral reading test, kind of similar to a running record that's going to check accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. And this was a student named Kyle. So just by looking at this, kind of come up with what you can identify about Kyle from this running record. One of the things you probably noticed right away is that in the words that he missed, he could identify the beginning sounds, the ending sounds, but it was those middle sounds, the vowels that were hard for him. And that's pretty typical of what we see in struggling readers. Towards the end of the passage, you can see a lot of question marks. This kind of shows me that he probably got frustrated, kind of gave up and didn't have the attack skills that he did at the beginning. From looking at this, you can probably identify that his fluency was probably very low as well. You can see his accuracy was low. If his fluency was low, that probably had a really good indication that his comprehension is going to be low as well. This took Kyle 2 minutes and 28 seconds to read, and he made 44 errors. You can also see that Kyle's in the 97th percentile for IQ, so Kyle is very smart. Just reading is a struggle for him. Kyle received some very explicit Pathways to Reading training over the course of a few months, and this is his post-test. He was able to read the passage in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and this time he only had 7 errors. So this just proves that the work we do through Pathways to Reading can make a difference in helping kids learn how to read. These books are some of the current research that's out there today. In 1998, Preventing Reading Difficulties in Young Children came out, and that was discussing the importance of phonemic awareness and phonics to prevent reading difficulties. In 2000, the National Reading Panel came out with their research, and we're going to talk about the 5 components that support a great reading program. In 2004, The Voice of Evidence in Reading Research, and that book was mostly about the importance of the research and why it's important to get that research into the classroom. In 2008, we have Developing Early Literacy, and that was the importance of phonemic awareness of phonics at the preschool levels. In 2008, Overcoming Dyslexia came out, and that kind of put the science with the research, because what they did was a functional MRI to show how the brain learns to read and what parts of the brain are used most in those reading processes. And then the latest one in 2015 was Essentials of Assessing, Preventing, and Overcoming Reading Difficulties, and this is by Dr. David Kilpatrick. And this book was kind of a game changer, and it kind of even changed a lot of the Pathways to Reading components because of a process that he talked about called the orthographic mapping. And that's basically, we'll talk about a lot more later, but how sight words are developed through this process. So the National Reading Panel came up with 5 components of a successful reading program. I'm going to give you just a few seconds to think about what you think those components are. If you said phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension, you are right. So in Kilpatrick's book, Essentials, and in Pathways to Reading, we talk a lot about the simple view of reading, which is the helpful framework for figuring out how we get real text reading comprehension. So the first part is decoding, which is at the word level reading, times oral language comprehension, which is the ability to understand the spoken language. Therefore, we get the text reading comprehensions. So I want you to think of those 5 components from the National Reading Panel: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Where might those components fit in this equation or this helpful framework? Well, phonemic awareness, phonics, and fluency are the components of decoding. And the vocabulary and comprehensions are going to be the components of the oral language comprehension. In Kilpatrick's book, he'll talk a lot about phonological skill development and the different levels of that and how it relates to word reading development. You're going to see this slide a few times throughout this training because we're going to show you how a lot of the processes or the strategies and pathways go back to these skills. So first we have the early phonological awareness, which is like rhyming, cat, bat, hat, alliteration, segmenting words into syllables like sep, tem, bur. You'll also, that will lead to the word reading development, which is letter names and sounds, and that requires simple phonology. Then there's the basic level of phonemic awareness, which is segmenting and blending. So segmenting would be like taking the word dog and breaking it up to d, og, and then also blending those sounds back together. If I said k, at, could the students blend those sounds together to get cat? That leads to word reading development, which is independent decoding. So it requires a letter sound knowledge, which is phonics, and then the phonemic awareness skill of blending. So you have to be able to segment sounds and then actually know the letters that represent those sounds to be a speller. And then there's the advanced phonemic awareness. And this is where it's going to really push kids to develop their sight words through a process called orthographic mapping, which we'll get into later. But the advanced phonemic awareness level is where kids can manipulate sounds. So they can isolate sounds in a word, they can substitute sounds in a word, they can omit sounds, or they can add sounds. Like, for example, say the word clap. Now say the word clap without the ul. It would be cap. So that would be an example of omitting a sound. Substituting a sound would be like, say the word clap. Now say the word without the a and add an I there. So the word would be clip. An example of adding a sound would be like, take the word back. Now add a ul after the b to make the word, and it would be black. If you have a student that is really struggling to develop those sight words, like you teach it to them and they know it and the next day they don't know it, then obviously there is a breakdown in the phonemic awareness. So you have to figure out what level they are at and go back to that area to hit to help them be successful. In Dr. Kilpatrick's book, he refers to the PASS test, which is a phonological awareness screening test. We can use this as a tool with our other pathways to reading assessments to determine where kids are at, which level of phonological awareness do we need to meet them at. Or if we have a lot of data on a kid and we're, thinking that this could be a kid with potential for dyslexia, this could be documentation that we use to present to the parents to refer them to their doctor. I'm not sure all the legal jargon that goes with that stuff yet. But one of the different levels, there's the basic syllable level, which is say the word birthday. Now say the word birthday without saying birth, and they would respond with the word day. On the onset rhyme level, that would like say the word sand. Now say the word sand without the s, and the word would be and. Or it could be say the word wood. Now replace the w with a g, and the word would be good. At the basic phoneme level, which is early to late first grade, an example of that would be like, say the word sled. Now say the word sled without the s. Or say the word glue. Now say the word glue without the g and put a B, and it would be blue. At the advanced phoneme level, it would be like, say the word sit. Now change the I to an A, the word would be sat. Or say the word plan. Now say the word plan without the ul. It would be pan, where they're really manipulating and isolating and substituting some of those sounds. Okay, so we're going to look at the phonological awareness, the broad term. In kindergarten, you really think of words in a sentence. Kindergarten students are going to be identifying that there's chunks of things, and those are called words. Then you have that there are different syllables in a word, and then that there are phonemes in a word. Phonemic awareness, the specific term, phonemes in a word, is the ability to notice that spoken words, which is the world of sound, contain a sub-level of smaller sounds, which are phonemes. So I like to think of a mitten. The word is the mitten, and inside their mitten are your little fingers, the little spoken parts, which are going to be the phonemes. So like the word was clap, and then inside I have my fingers, my 4 fingers, to represent each of those sounds. This awareness allows one to segment, blend, and manipulate the sounds in spoken words and is a process necessary in learning to decode. Phonics, on the other hand, is the instruction that teaches how letters are linked to sounds to form letter-sound correspondences and spell patterns, and how to use this information and help students learn to read and spell independently. So if we go back to our clap that we were just talking about, is can they put a letter to the k sound? So yes, C says k, and L says ul, and for the A sound, they would identify the letter A, and for the P sound, they would identify the letter P. So Pathways to Reading does their phonemic awareness and phonics on a continuum. So you're going to see K stands for kindergarten, 1 stands for first grade, 2 stands for second grade, so you can see at what level they're going to do these things. So across the top is our phonemic awareness, and so in kindergarten, we're going to stretch, we're going to blend, we're going to segment with beginning and ending, rhyming, and alliteration. And then we're going to move on to CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant, and we're going to segment and blend and manipulate with those. And remember, manipulating is like isolating, omitting, adding, and switching sounds. So they're going to do that at kindergarten first and second. Then we're going to move on to CCVC words, CVCC words. Then we're going to move on to kindergarten drops out, and it's just first and second grade with the consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant. With the 2-syllable words is first and second grade, and then the 3 syllables is more second grade. We also are going to go down and look at the phonics. So we're going to do short vowels and basic consonants, consonant digraphs, long vowels, alternative spellings, long vowel pairs like 2 vowels go walking, buddy vowels, R control vowel, inflectional endings, multisyllable prefixes, and suffixes. So if you go across, you can see at what level we're going to do this on, but it's continually moving across the continuum. If you look at the left, there's those 5 components identified by the National Reading Program. Again, PA stands for phonemic awareness, then phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. This guy right here, Dr. G. Reed Lyon, was a past chief of the Child Development and Behavior Branch within the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development at the NIH, and he said one of the most powerful predictors of reading comprehension is the speed and accuracy of reading single words. Likewise, one of the most powerful predictors of speed and accuracy is the strength of phonemic awareness skill development. And that's why I like to think of these as building blocks. You have to have a solid foundation of phonemic awareness and phonics to build that fluency, which in turn builds that vocabulary and comprehension, with phonemic awareness and phonics being 2 of the most important components. I feel like a lot of times in school settings, we're so quick to get out of those because we feel like we need to focus on the comprehension strategies. But yet, if we don't have a solid basis of phonemic awareness and phonics, those skills, those comprehension skills, vocabulary skills, they're not going to develop without it. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop this screencast, and I will be starting up another one and adding it to the email that I send you because it will only let me record 15 minutes at a time.